Hello, how you all doing? Yeah, so the title of this video is Do Not Watch This. And if you're watching it, then I'm glad, because I intended for you to do that. Okay, and it will become clear to you as to why I entitled the video Do Not Watch This as the video progresses. Okay, so I want to talk about the Garden of Eden, about the Genesis story from the Bible. Okay, now those of you who know me will know that I'm not religious. This is not a Christian video, religious preach thing. It's not. No, what it is, I just want to address. I like talking. I often talk about the whole Garden of Eden and creation story. I often do because I think there's a lot of interesting things. I'm very interested in the Bible. I think it's extremely interesting. There's a lot of the way I see it is it's an account of history. I think religion is completely manipulated, orchestrated, and designed to enslave the world. And well, that's a different video all in itself. Okay. Let's not even go there because it's going to distract from what I'm talking about in this video. Okay, but anyway, so the Garden of Eden. Right now, I want to talk about the part in there where God, who I believe to be gods, the Elohim, which translates gods, not gods, it's a plural, of which the Christians would say, well, that's implying a Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, although it never implies that itself. It just says gods, and that's also confirmed by the fact that the gods, the Elohim, said, "Let us make man in our image," thus implying a plural. Okay, and also, it's all we and us, and there's quite a few examples. Later when he says, "Behold, they've become like us," it's definitely a plural. Okay, so in Genesis where it says, "In the beginning, it's gods created the heaven and the earth," and etc. Okay, now the gods are the Elohim. Other cultures refer to them by different terms. So the Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki. I believe it's the same thing. So they've got a similar creation story, so far as I know. And they are basically a race of supreme beings, an older race than the human race. Perhaps, hundreds or thousands, possibly tens of thousands, who knows, of years more advanced than us, okay, and they are our parents. They came to the earth, okay, and they took the life that already existed on the earth. Humans were here already prior to the Garden of Eden, and what they did is they said, oh, here's some like humanoid type creatures, ape type creatures, Neanderthals or whatever. Well, let us make man, who is already there, in our image, right? So they wanted to make them more like themselves, okay? Which explains the missing link, because there is, like, in the theory of evolution, there's like a leap in evolution that is unaccounted for, and it's a mystery. It's a mystery in the field of science, and to this day, nothing to explain it. Okay, so the natural progression of evolution was interrupted by a leap, where there was a genetic engineering from the gods. Okay, now they weren't gods, but they were posing as gods in order to make humankind subject to them. So, and they created man in their image. Okay, but not as intelligent or supreme. The human being has 12 strands of DNA, 10 of which are junk DNA. We only have a double helix of DNA that is of any use that we understand, and the rest is like we don't know its purpose. Also, we all know that we don't use 100% of our brain capacity. It's like 10% or less than 10%. Okay, so it's obvious that while we've been genetically engineered, we've also been dumbed down a little bit in order to not get too advanced. Okay, and there's evidence of that in the Bible as well. When the whole story of the Tower of Babel. Okay, so God noticed that man was getting advanced, and he sabotaged that, and he created languages and scattered. Now, whether these stories are true, I don't know. I'm not professing. Like I said to you, I'm not a religious person. I don't know if I believe every single record in the Bible, but I do think it's strange how, like, besides the Bible, there's other ancient texts, some even more ancient from different parts of the world, and they're all very similar. Okay, so the Bible is a rewrite of even older texts. So the similarities implies that quite possibly there's something in it. Okay, but there's also a lot of editing and manipulation in order to achieve agendas. Now, so when man was becoming advanced, a stop was put to that, through the Tower of Babel. Okay, but also let's have a look at a more earlier case in the Garden of Eden when man ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Okay, so God said to Adam and Eve, okay, now this is like Bible quotes, okay, because it was the gods, the extraterrestrials, said to Adam and Eve, whether they were two individuals or whether they were a race or a group or a community of genetically engineered beings that were put in a single garden that was like the kind of breeding ground. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, they said of all the trees, and whether this is literal or symbolic, that's another question again. Of all the trees of the garden you may freely eat, but the tree in the middle of the garden, and I'm not quoting this word for word, I don't have my Bible open in front of me, okay, but you're getting the gist. We all know this story. Okay, so the tree in the middle of the garden, it's like a sacred tree, and it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and of that tree you must not eat. Okay, so that was a command given to them. Okay, now, clearly, again, the gods were trying to keep mankind, who was created in their image and likeness, just not quite as, didn't want them too powerful that maybe they could be overthrown or get too advanced or too big for their boots, because once again we see that, they didn't want humans to eat of this fruit because they'll become like the gods. Okay, well, why can't we become like the gods? Well, I don't know. You tell me. So it's obvious that the gods didn't want that. Okay, hence they made the command. Now, there are Christians out there that would say, "Oh, yeah, that was a test. It was just a test for obedience." Okay, right. Well, okay, right. But I'm just giving you another spin on it. Different perspective. Okay, so so that was the case. Now, that's what the point I want to labour on, and now we're going to get clear on why I've entitled the video what I've entitled it. So this video is called Do Not Watch This. Now, what God said is do not eat this from this tree. Okay? Now, what happened is they did eat from the tree. Okay? And why did they eat from the tree? No, sorry. What happened when they ate from the tree? When they ate from the tree, okay, God was mad, and it was the fall, quote unquote, and now man was not perfect, he was a sinner, and cast out the garden, and died early, and the world's in a big mess as a result of the fall, right? That's what Christians teach, is that, we're in a sinful state, the world's a mess, everything's evil, everything's like Satan rules the world, blah, blah, blah. And why is it? It's all because of the fall, okay? So it's all because we disobeyed and ate of the fruit of the tree. Now, the purpose of this video is to ask the question, did God, right, now this is really important, now listen up, okay? Did God know, okay? Now, I know I've talked about gods, plural, alright, but let's just talk from, like, the Christian point of view here. Did God know that this would happen before it happened? Okay, now that's a very interesting question, and the answer to that question has huge implications. Okay, so let's lay out two options. Number one, right, hang on, my computer's gone funny. Right, number one, God commanded, don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and he hoped that you wouldn't. And he didn't know whether you would or wouldn't, but hoped that you wouldn't. That's number one. Number two, he said, do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and he knew damn well that you would. And he knew what the future would hold for the human race. He knew the whole thing. He knew that, yeah, I'm going to make this command, they're going to do it, and when they do it, this is going to happen. Okay? Now, if God is so almighty and intelligent and, sort of all-knowing, etc., surely he would have known that he would make the command, but yet they'll fail and everything's going to be screwed up. So if he knew that, then why are we going through this in the first place? Why are we even bothering? Why did he even create us? We could say, well, because we've got to evolve, but then you would ask the question, well, why do we have to suffer for so long and so much pain and suffering? And well, okay, this is very important. All right, I suggest that God did know. Okay, and the reason being is because you think about it, right? When you tell someone not to do something, they're going to do it 9 times out of 10. It's human nature, okay? And I can give you so many examples, especially children, but it's for adults as well. I mean, how many times have you seen wet paint, do not touch, a sign on a bench or a wall or something? How often have you, like, just kind of with the tip of your finger just touched it, just because it says do not touch? You tell a child not to do it, they're absolutely going to do it. It's called, what's it called? Negative, there's a word for it. Shit, I can't remember. Okay, so I can't remember the word for it, but there's a special word for it. Oh shit, it will come to me in a minute. But the thing is that, like, studies have proved that this is what people are going to do. And do you know what has inspired me to actually make this video? Right, is the fact that there's a man called Derren Brown, and he's very well known in the UK. I don't know if he is in other parts of the world, but he does like all these experiments, right? Now, I'm going to put a link in the description, and please, please, please click on it and watch it. It's 23 minutes long, and like there's a few adverts at the start. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but I tell you what, it's well worth the watch. It's such an eye-opener. Derren Brown is a very interesting guy. He does all these experiments. He's like a psychologist, illusionist, blah blah blah, NLP expert. He's a really clever guy, and he opens your eyes to a lot of pretty amazing things. Now, if you're not familiar with him, if you click on this link and watch him, I guarantee you're going to be searching for more videos that he has done, because he's an amazing guy. But what he did, right? Because I know some of you will not click on this link to watch it, so I'm going to tell you anyway. Okay, and if I tell you, I'm not ruining it, but watch it anyway, and you'll see. You'll see if I'm right. Okay, now he did an episode called "Kill the Kitten," and what he did is there was a woman, right, and he basically said to her, they were in a room together, and there was a kitten, a cute little kitten, really cute one, right? A little tabby kitten, really cute. And I mean, how many people would kill a kitten? I mean, not many. I mean, I certainly wouldn't kill a kitten because they're just too cute. Wouldn't like to kill anything, right? But anyway, what happened was, he said to the woman, and I'm cutting a lot of bits out, you're going to have to watch the video for yourself, but he said to the woman, I'm going to leave the room now, and while I'm gone, don't press that button, because if you press that button, the kitten dies, and it gets an electric shock, right? Now, yeah, you could say, well, that's illegal. Obviously, the kitten wouldn't die, because they're not going to allow that on TV. That will cause an uproar. But no, he did it in a very convincing way, and this, he's obviously very manipulative. He does all this mind control. Okay. So this woman, she was like really in the spirit at the moment. She knew, she knew that if she pressed the button, the kitten would die, and so Yeah, so he said, right, I'm leaving the room for 5 minutes. While I'm gone, whatever you do, don't press that button. The kitten will die if you do. It will get an electric shock and die. And what happened is she pressed the button, and the kitten didn't die, right? Because it was all set up just to prove a point, okay? But she didn't know that, and yeah, she pressed the button, and she was like traumatized, you know. And then obviously he like debriefed her and says, hey, you know, this was all an experiment, and you know she was fine, and you know there was no one was like psychologically damaged from it. But it was so interesting, right? Because the point that he was making, and if you watch the whole program, you'll be convinced of this, is that human nature is to do what we're not supposed to do. Now, Darren Brown, he never mentioned the Garden of Eden story. That's just something that I have like thought of and thinking, well, hey, let's tie the two in and make a video about it. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, but he was just really proving the point that we do not, or we definitely do what we're not supposed to do. Why are there affairs? It's the forbidden fruit, isn't it? You know, I mean, like people are attracted to like married women, married men, you know, and have affairs with them because it's like the forbidden fruit, you know. Funnily enough, you know, it just comes to my mind. I've actually got a video on my channel, and it's called Do Not Watch This Film. Okay, it's about the Anunnaki. You'll find it on my channel if you want to watch it. Well, funnily enough, right, considering the title Do Not Watch This Film, it's got over 1.5 million views, right? So it's like my most viewed video on my entire channel, yeah? So once again, that just reinforces my point, right? So there's so many examples, and really Darren Brown explains it far better than I do. So I just really encourage you to watch this video. You will not regret it. It's so interesting. Okay. So my point is that, right, just going back to this whole Garden of Eden thing. So did God know that Adam and Eve would fail the test? Right? A test was put before them, a test for obedience, and they failed. Did God know that that was good? Well, he must have done. He must have done. Right? If he created humans, he created human nature, he knows human nature, he should know them inside out. You know, if you invented the car, you know the mechanics of a car, you know how the car works. You know, any inventor knows their product. Okay? You know, God created mankind, he would have known that, you know what, if I don't want them to eat from that tree, I'll have to do a bit of reverse psychology, or a bit of, you know, I'll have to do like some kind of aversion type thing. You know, and then, of course, if you don't want someone to do something, anyone, me, you, we don't have to be psychologists. If you don't want someone to do something, it's easy to not have them do it, you know? I mean, probably the best technique is to not bring it up at all. Just blend it in, hide it in the open, let it be there, and you know, if in the unlikely event that they pick that tree to eat from, you know, then I don't know, make an angel appear and say, hey, could you move on, please? What, you know, whatever. There's tons of things, you know, barbed wire around it, whatever, you know. So if that has implications. If God knew that man would fail, that has implications, because what does that tell us, right? Is it that life was created on the earth, human life was created on the earth as for a game? Oh, is it a game? It seems like a game, you know. It does, doesn't it? That's how it seems to me. Okay, because like he put man here and knew the outcome, knew the future, and were suffering, and it could have been prevented. It could have been prevented. So if it could have been prevented and wasn't prevented, then what is this all about? Is it a game? Right? Now, this is interesting as well. Consider this, right? The serpent. The serpent, and the Christian church calls the serpent Satan, the devil, like Lucifer, who fell because he was like kicked out of heaven for rebelling against God. Now, was he kicked out? Now, you know, we read the account of Lucifer's fall and the whole devil and Satan thing. We read it from the Bible's point of view, which is biased because it's obviously like, you know, the other side. Okay, it's like two sides, dark and light. Okay, well, what if, right? And I'm just playing devil's advocate. Okay, now don't take me the wrong way. I'm not saying I'm a Satanist or a devil worshiper. That's not the case. I like to just analyze things. Think things through from all different perspectives. Okay, so the serpent. Well, number one, was he the devil? Was he Satan? Was he the devil? Because it doesn't say he was. He just says like it was a serpent, and then he was labeled then Satan, and referred to as Satan. Okay, but was he? Okay, and also ask yourself this: was Lucifer kicked out of heaven, or did he leave heaven? All right. Lucifer rebelled against God. Was that just pure, I'm bloody evil and I'm jealous of you and I want your position and blah, blah, blah. Or did he disagree and did he have issues and left in disgust? Like, I'm leaving this place. What? You know what I mean? There's two sides to every story, isn't there? Okay, but anyway, let me come back to the Garden of Eden. Okay, so in the Garden of Eden, you have the serpent who came and spoke to Eve. Okay, which number one, that implies that it was not a snake because snakes don't talk. Right? It's a serpent. Now, seeing as I believe that the Elohim were the gods, they were extraterrestrials, I also believe that the serpent was perhaps of a different species of extraterrestrial, perhaps a reptilian. Okay. Now, what was his agenda? Right. So he came and said to Eve, "Is it really so that you must not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?" And then he says, because Eve said, "Yes, we must not, nor must we touch it." And then the serpent said to Eve, "For in the day that you do, you shall surely not die, but your eyes shall be opened and you'll become like God." Right? Now, he was telling the truth because God confirmed that, because after the fruit was eaten, God says, "Behold, they have become like us," implying that, that the serpent was right. Okay, so here we have God who does not want their eyes to be opened and for them to become like him, right? And he's trying to prevent that. And then we have Satan. See, here's me doing it as well. I'm calling the serpent Satan, and Satan, the reptilian, whatever, the serpent. We're talking about the story here. He says that you shall surely not die. Okay, now they did live for 900 years according to the Bible story, right? Nearly 1,000 years. I mean, that's a long. They didn't die. They eventually died. Okay, but they lived for nearly 900 years. Okay, but he says your eyes will be open, you become like. Okay, so basically he was like, what was he doing? He was saying, hey guys, if you eat the fruit, you can become even better. It's like personal development. It's like, hey, how would you like to become even better, have more knowledge, have a greater knowledge and wisdom, and be like one of the gods? How would you like that? If you want to do that, you eat the fruit, because that's what the fruit will do. Okay, so was that a bad thing? Yeah. Oh, but yes, of course it was a bad thing, because God said don't do it. God, they were disobeying God. It was disobedience. Yeah. Okay, but what they did do was of benefit to them, because their eyes were opened. And then, of course, that was all taken away because the gods kicked them out of the garden, and I don't know, maybe shorten their lifespan, or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, that's what the serpent did. So what I see, this is what I see. All right, I see a planet called Earth, and it had life on it. And this life was discovered by a race of beings, extraterrestrial beings, and they thought, hang on a minute, this is a cool planet. It's pretty good. It's a good distance from the sun. Good atmosphere. Nice nature. There's life seems abundant. Seems like a really cool planet. Let's seed ourselves here. Let's kind of settle here and let's have a foothold here on this planet. Okay, so they thought, well, you know what? We're going to mine the planet. We're going to take its resources. We're going to, um, you know, let's create um, a race to do that for us. Okay, and now what we're doing is we're entering into a subject that requires a video all of its own. Okay, because now we're getting into another big long subject. Um, okay, so we'll not go any further than that. Okay, but while this is happening, okay, you got another race of extraterrestrials, perhaps the serpents, the reptilians, perhaps. I'm guessing. I don't profess to know. We're just chewing the fat. We're just like kind of brainstorming ideas. Okay, so you got the reptilian race, and they come along and say, "Hang on a minute, that's not right. You can't do that. I mean, like this just is not right. We don't agree with it." And you're toying with life, you're playing with fire, you've created a race, and you're suppressing knowledge, and you're taking advantage. And you know what? We're going to tell them the truth, and enlighten them. Okay. Now, some of you watching this can think, "Hang on a minute, this guy's a devil worshipper, a Satanist." I'm not, because you know what? I don't believe in that the God of the Bible is the creator of the universe. I believe in a creator of the universe, a creator of the earth, but it's not the God of the Bible. And there's lots of reasons why I believe that, of which I don't have time to go into all at once in one video, but over time I'll reveal it. And by the same token, Satan, the devil, I don't believe in him either. And again, there's lots of reasons why I believe that. Okay, so but I'm just, we're just addressing some of these stories from the book of Genesis. Yeah, so I want you to click and watch that Darren Brown Kill the Kitten video, which I'm going to post below.